Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Admission, the one and only show that meant to expand your knowledge of policy. My name is Nur Amain Nabila.
Hi, my name is Alice Camila
And we will be your host for this episode.
We are going to have a blast today because on today's show, we have a very special guest who will share with us about the website COVID Now. Have you ever heard about COVID Now before, Bella?
I have, but I don't know much about it. But I am really interested to know more about COVID Now.
That's great. And to make things more exciting today, we are also going to discover more about data storytelling.
Wow, I can't wait to learn more about it. Well, without further ado, it's time to roll out the red carpet for our special guest today. Welcome to our show, Mr. Shah. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Nice to see all of you too.
We are glad that you are doing good. Okay, Mr. Shenghan, I'm sure our adoring viewers out there are super curious about you and your job. So, Mr. Shenghan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Sheng Han. I'm a data scientist by profession, and I'm currently a full-time machine learning engineer at Intel Malaysia, with 8 years of experience under my belt building AI and machine learning solutions for semiconductor manufacturing. So what I mainly do is we build solutions to drive efficiency and also cost savings in this cutting edge processes at Intel. So as you all know, I'm also involved in COVID Now. I had the humble opportunity to contribute in collaboration with the Ministry of Health Malaysia to COVID Now, which is the official portal on data and insights on COVID-19 for Malaysia.
Wow, that is very impressive. Okay, Mr. Sheng Han, currently people are very eager to know what is going on around them, especially during the pandemic. So, could you please tell us a little bit about how data storytelling works to give information to the public?
Yeah, data storytelling. It is essentially an art of communicating with cold hard data that you might already have, and trying to package it into a format that is friendly and is easy to understand. So typically as data scientists, you want to make your audience or help your audience to help make sense of the data so that they can almost effortlessly try to understand the message that you are trying to get across, or you may have patterns in your data. So imagine how to decipher all this information in the form of numbers, text, and images, or even tables, and so much data that we have just in the past 2 years, and how to turn all this into actions or decisions. So that is where data storytelling comes into very importance and focus.
I guess it is actually interesting and a bit tedious too, right, Alice? Okay, so how about the essential component of the data storytelling? Can you tell us more about that?
In data storytelling, I guess number one would be the data. Of course, you need to have data on hand that is of high quality, and after you have data, you want to have a clear narrative. So that is the key message that you want to get across. So what is the message that you want to bring about with the data that you have, and with the patterns that you find in your data? What is the message you want to tell your audience? And then with that message, then you can, number three, the third component is to visualize this data, so that you can bring that message across to your audience. So that is data visualization, the third component. How you present your key message and your narrative in the forms of charts, graphs, and even tables. So that I would say will be the three components of data storytelling.
So we have the data, a clear narrative, and visualization, and I believe then the data storytelling will be a successful one. Okay, Mr. Sheng Han, I am curious to know how you collect data daily and how long does it take to interpret the data insight to transform it into a storytelling form?
Okay, so in the context of COVID Now, the key data source of the COVID Now portal would be the official GitHub repository, the MOH GitHub repository, where the open data is being made to the public. So that is the same kind of data source that everyone in the public has access to. So, but the collection of the data daily and how the data has been feed onto the open data repository is something that is happening behind the scenes within MOH and CPRC. Like for example, the cases and death data sets, those come from CPRC, MOH, and also the hospital admissions, the quarantine center admissions, how many people are there in ICUs, how many on ventilators. All this data comes from the hospital system, MOH's own hospital system. And then, testing data comes from the test labs across the country. They all get aggregated into the National Public Health Laboratory. So that's the data source for testing data. And then, of course, you have vaccination data coming in from MySejahtera and the CITF vaccination database. And the real heroes behind all this data, because you're asking about collection of data daily, the real heroes are actually the frontliners. The frontliners collecting the data all over the country and then feeding it and reporting up to the state level and then to the country level. And then also the CPRC data team to merge and aggregate all this data on a daily basis from all over the country. And then the end result of all this is to upload to GitHub on our open data repository. So that's the effort needed every day to collect the data. And for the second part of the question, how long does it take to interpret this data, and transform it into a data storytelling form? So in COVID now, the four of us, we built the whole portal, the website, and I can say that the amount of time we spend, the most time that we spend actually amongst all the other things that we do is actually to decide on how to present the data and actually building out how to present the data that is in a way that is the most easy to understand, that is most easy to, that does not cause for misinterpretations.
Wow, it takes a lot of data from respective party to convey to the data storytelling. So what about the audience level of understanding? How do you make sure that they will get the intended message that you want to deliver?
How you gauge your message is getting across is perhaps by your engagement with your audience. Like what kind of questions they're asking you. Are they the fundamental questions clarifying the data that you have just presented? Or are they the kind of questions that are beyond the data that you have presented, or questions that build upon the story or the narrative that you have tried to get across? So if the questions are of the latter, then you know that your message has really gotten across and they're asking questions about it. So on COVID now, obviously, it's not a live presentation. We don't engage directly with our audience, but we know through the conversations around on social media, what people are discussing about the data that is on COVID now, and that's how we know that people are talking about COVID situation getting worse because of the healthcare capacity is being strained. And that is how we know, people understand that the numbers are showing that the hospital capacity is being strained, and as such, they have to be careful, and then they make behavioral changes, they start to follow SOP even more.
Oh, I see. The process surely must be very hard, but for me, for someone who actually look at the data daily, it's actually very easy to understand and very helpful for people to receive new information about COVID. Right, Alice?
That's right, Bella. For our next question, Mr. Sheng Han, how did you actually come to join COVID now? As you mentioned, you are the full stack data scientist, or as per the website, the back-end developer as well as the data scientist. Maybe you can share with us some of challenges or consequences that you face.
Actually, MOH reached out to me because I built a vaccination tracker dashboard on top of the vaccination data that was released by CITF in July 2021. So I contributed my dashboard onto a public list that was on the repository, and that was how they found out about my dashboard, and they were interested in asking me to come in and also help be part of this team to build the one-stop dashboard for all COVID-19 indicators for Malaysia. So that was MOH reached out to me and us, and that's how we agreed. This is once in a lifetime opportunity, I think, as a data scientist, to be able to contribute to the this pandemic that everyone is going through. like you mentioned, I'm a data scientist and backend developer. So what I do is to basically build the entire backend, the data pipelines, and how to prepare the data into the form where the charts and the graphs in the front end they can consume. And I was also involved in presenting and visualizing the data in the decision making process on how to present the data on COVID now. And also the vaccination modeling, how to project how many days do we have left to achieve certain targets of vaccination. Or let's say 80% of adults vaccinated, how many days do we have left? So the modeling of that was also done by us.
Okay, Mr. Shanghai, since data storytelling has been very helpful for the public to get information, can we know what is so unique about it? And also, how does it actually contribute to business and science?
Being able to help the public understand better, if you're talking about the COVID-19 insights, it's the importance of this is really to prevent the lack of data transparency or to improve data transparency, because we want to combat fake news, which was very prevalent in the beginning of the pandemic. There were a lot of false news, fake news being spread around. And not just fake news, but also false interpretations. So people may look at certain data and they interpret it in a different, a wrong way, in a dangerous way. And we want to combat that. And that's why we needed a single source. Then these can lead to behavioral changes, not just at the individual level, but also companies, businesses, organizations, even policymakers at all levels. If you know that it's getting worse, then you need to know that you need to adhere to the SOPs. But if it's getting better, then maybe you can relax SOPs a bit more. Organizations, they can start doing a bit more. So that is the importance of having the public to better understand this COVID-19 data. And also, of course, to allow a holistic public involvement, by releasing open data, having the data on COVID now, we also hope to tap into the experts in society, like data scientists, researchers, students like yourself, to have access to the data and be hopefully looking into the data, diving into it, and hopefully you can uncover additional insights, you can uncover additional patterns in the data that other people have not realized, and then publish it, share it, and then we can have new data-driven decisions out of what you have just found. Now that you have the data out into the public, everyone can take part in this fight against COVID-19.
As you mentioned just now, MOH was the one who roped you into COVID now. So, are there any specific roles and duties that you have besides being the back-end developer of COVID now with the Ministry of Health?
So we were also involved in that process with the doctors and also analysts within MOH together, and also the vaccination projections. So other than that, that is the extent of my involvement on COVID now together with MOH.
So in your opinions, can this data storytelling help to combat the war against the virus and help the government to collect data on COVID cases?
Yeah, definitely, it would definitely help, because what we are doing through COVID now is to improve and elevate, how the Malaysian public is informed on COVID-19, which before the existence of COVID now was through press conferences, press releases in the form of PDFs, infographics in the form of images. It was not that mature. So that's why we had COVID now. We needed a platform to be able to convey a strong narrative, of a solid narrative, so that we don't have misinterpretations or wrong conclusions out of the data. And also, like I mentioned just now, a single data source, trustable data source of COVID-19 indicators, so that there will no longer be any fake news. And of course, having all this in place when the Malaysian public is better informed on COVID-19.
Right, for our final question, Mr. Shanghai, do you think data storytelling will be able to open the hearts of the community and convince them to jointly maintain the SOP?
Yes, definitely. Like I mentioned just now, when the when Malaysians are better informed of the true state of the pandemic, rather than being informed in a piecewise fashion, they have an easy to access portal, then obviously you are able to make better decisions on what you have to do individually. What is your part in the community? What kind of SOPs that you want to follow? The community, I hope, will be empowered to enforce the SOP even better in when situations get a bit unfavorable. When the conditions of the pandemic gets a bit worse.
I strongly agree with your point of view as well. As a member of the public who has been heavily referring to COVID in our website, this data storytelling has the ability to effectively communicate insight from a data set using narrative and visualization, which for me is very interesting and not dull at all. Isn't that right, Alice?
Precisely, Bella. Alright, Mr. Shanghan, thank you so much for spending your precious time with us to share some insight regarding COVID now and data storytelling. We indeed enjoyed the whole session with you. Once again, thank you, Mr. Shanghan Lee.
Thank you, guys.
Well, it's time for us to wrap up the show. But don't forget to tune in to our next episode, which will be released next week.
In the meantime, don't forget to follow and subscribe to our social media platforms. Give this video a like, thumbs up, and share it around. Till next time.
Bye everyone!
That's all from us. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for the next episode. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from us again, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share before you go. See ya!